all of the credibility that you gained by living in Palestine was taken away from you when Israel put you on their paycheck.
Okay, all right. We're gonna.
Okay.
If you
do you have evidence that I have a paycheck from Israel?
You worked for Israel for 6 years. It's
Do you have
in your biography.
What's your evidence?
So you weren't paid to work for Israel. You just did it willingly.
Well,
exactly.
Okay. First of all, if you want to take personal aim, I can take you on a rabbit hole that you will never get out of it.
Good. Go ahead.
I have been patient and respecting you. You know why? Because you're just an arrogant student with no knowledge, with no life experience, advocating on a very dangerous cause, being a useful idiot in the hands of terrorists, creating trouble, putting encampment, breaking the law, advocating on behalf of a terrorist organization designated by the American law as a terrorist organization, makes you a terrorist. So if you want to talk about personal things, you challenge me for doing a legitimate work for a democracy to save human lives, and you want to reduce my effort to say that I got paid 10 years fighting and chasing after terrorists who blow up, killed Americans, Israelis, Arabs, Muslims, all type of people indiscriminately. Do you think you can sit here and judge me and tell me it's like you did for money?
When you say you're fighting for Israel, would you say that you're advocating for them?
I told you I only represent myself.
So you're not fighting for Israel.
And you don't have the authority to sit there and judge, tell me I took money or I did not take money. This is not your business.
No, you did take money. That's a fact, and that's fine.
This is not your business.
You took money from Israel, and that's okay. You're a propagandist for Israel. That's just a fact, and it's the reality of the situation. But again, I don't know how many times. I don't know how many times I have to say. I don't know how many times I have to say. I can speak from my own authority. I can speak from the authority of historians. I can speak from the authority of the thousands of Palestinians who live in Palestine, who are actually living there right now. Because at the end of the day, the reality of the situation doesn't care about Aidan Doyle or Mosab Yousef. Whether there's a genocide going on, which there is, it doesn't matter whether I was born in the United States or not. It is simply the reality. And you can check all my sources. You can go read.
Define a genocide. Define a genocide. You speak of what is genocide?
Oh, sure. The killing of a whole or a part of a population with intent. Well, are you happy? Do you not think I'd...
This is not what a genocide is.
That is the definition of a genocide.
Mr. Doyle, let me ask you something.
I'm sorry that you don't know what the definition of a genocide is, but that is the reality.
Let me ask you something.
With intent based on what? Based on their ethnicity, based on their religion, based on their culture?
Based on their national identity as Palestinians.
Well, Palestine is
but you can talk about intent. I mean, we can start naming names. We can go back to Emily Eliyahu, who wanted to nuke Gaza. We can go back to Theodore Herzl, who wanted to remove all of the Gazans from, all the Palestinians from Palestine. We could go back to the Mowing the Lawn initiative, which is high-frequency, civilian-targeted, asymmetrical warfare that targets civilian infrastructure.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you go.
Do you think?
It doesn't matter where you go. There is intent.
Okay, one moment. Do you think you are smarter than the judge of the ICC who just said that what happens in Gaza is not a genocide?
Do you mean the ICJ?
The ICJ, yeah. Do you think you are smarter than the judge?
Absolutely not. Do you think you're smarter than the judge?
I am not smarter than the judge. And the judge said what's happening in Gaza is not a genocide.
No. Well, actually, that's not true. What they said, well, for one, the determination as to whether a genocide is going on actually hasn't been deliberated, so you're just spreading misinformation. What they said was that the rights... What they said was that the rights of the Palestinian people, especially the rights of the people of Gaza, are at risk of, their rights to not be genocided are at risk of being infringed. And they said that in order for Israel to comply with international law in all three resolutions that they have released, they had to do a number of things. They had to stop targeting civilian population centers. They had to stop starving the population, which includes arresting the people who were stopping the aid from getting into Gaza, which they haven't done. And they also had to not invade Rafah. None of those three things they have done. And so when Mosab says that Israel is, that the ICJ has said that Israel is not committing genocide, they made no such determination. The actual determination will come out in probably 2 or 3 years.
You talked about Herzl as one of your people, as Zionist and founding people of Israel, as intentionally removing Arabs from the area. And there's I was reading about this because Mark Lamont Hill at the Berkeley debate brought up the same point. And I looked it up, and I read that Theodore Herzl had a famous letter to an Arab notable, Yusuf Zia al-Khalidi, and he wrote, quote, "Who would think of sending Palestinian Arabs away? It is their well-being, their individual wealth that we would increase in bringing our own." So how do you jibe that with that he was an intentional, ethnic cleansing or genocide?
So if you actually read other letters, what he said was, and look, it wasn't actually as bad as what's happening, to be fair to Theodor Herzl. He was actually what's known as he was a political Zionist. He was fairly liberal for the time. He believed that, he said in other letters that we need to stop giving them jobs. We need to make sure that they don't have a livelihood here, and that we need to make sure that in other Arab countries that that they do have a livelihood in order to convince them to leave. So it was a sort of soft ethnic cleansing, if that makes you feel any better. But then you also mentioned how Theodor Herzl said that we would bring civilization to the Palestinians. Well, this is reminiscent of Christian missionaries who talked about Africans as if they were savages, as if they were uneducated, as if they needed Christianity and Western civilization to be brought to them so that they could tame them. It is an extremely racist ideology, that one that was inherent to Zionism, as they believed that they would be bringing civilization to the Palestinians, that they would be improving their lives. And when in actuality, they removed them, they killed them en masse, and they put them in concentration camps.
Okay, so how do you and I want to hear what you say, but how do you reconcile that statement with the Nakba claim? And it's not a claim; it's a word that is used as a catastrophe by the Palestinians when they left the land of what is now Israel at the Declaration of Independence of Israel, and they were largely in camps in Jordan, refugee camps in Jordan, and I think Gaza, and now those are villages. What do you make of the fact that Israel was attacked immediately upon the declaration of its independence, and that it's pretty clear in the record that these Palestinian Arabs were told by these Arab countries surrounding them to leave lest they be harmed during the attack? What do you make of that?
Well, yeah, so the countries of Egypt, the countries of Jordan, the countries of Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, the countries that attacked during 1948, they're not Palestine. They're actually different countries. But then the assertion that Palestinians left during the Nakba willingly, well, some left willingly because they were being harassed and terrorized in the streets by the Irgun and the Lehi and the Haganah. But over 400 villages were destroyed, hundreds of thousands were forced out. But it wasn't just through force and through brutal terrorism that these groups inflicted upon Palestinians living in Palestine at the time. It was also through legal means, with the absentee law, declaring any house that was empty to be declared the state of Israel's, and that they then moved Jewish tenants in, or through the cancellation of the Ottoman Empire, the permits that were given during the Ottoman Empire, most of which were Palestinian homes. When this happened, the Palestinians were evicted and Jewish tenants moved in. So, I mean, sure, some left willingly, but you have to ask, was it willing, or were they being terrorized and then they decided to leave? Now, then also the claim that the Arab leaders told Palestinians to leave because they'd be able to return later. Well, that's true, but it accounts for a couple thousand, maybe 20,000, as compared to like 700,000 that were
Where are you
forced
getting
out.
that fact from?
Well, what were your numbers?
Well, no, what I'm asking you, where were you getting that fact from?
It's just general knowledge.
What? Well, I mean, it's important. It's important. It's okay.
If you have a more accurate number, tell me.
I'm not. It's not. This is not my. I'm not debating here. I'm just asking questions.
Oh, sure. So, well, the number of 700,000. Do you agree with that number?
I do agree with that.
The number of a couple thousand, if not tens or 20,000s. I mean,
okay, but
deliberately general because I don't know the exact.
Right? You do agree that it's really, really important when we're saying these things. Well, let me finish. Let me finish. Because we've been listening to you. And it's really, really important when you make these statements, which are affecting people's lives in the world, that we are accurate in our facts. And so I'm not criticizing you right now. I'm just asking you where your source is. I really want to know.
No, if you have a more accurate number, you can tell
Okay,
me.
thank you. It's okay.
Well, how much is it? How much is it? Because if it was it 700,000 that
I
were
think
told by the Arab population to leave?
Mr. Yousef might be able to tell,
Well-
and an academic in the audience or somebody who knows might be able to tell. But
No, because
it's not,
it's important to recognize that just because I don't remember a source from a research that I did 8 or 9 months ago doesn't mean that the reality isn't the case.
Okay,
But if it was 10,000, well, that's important. That means that only 690,000 Palestinians were forced out of their homes.
Well,
it doesn't make a big difference.
these
if you
are
actually think about it.
hypothetical situations, but we really want to deal with facts when we're dealing with human lives. So let's, Mr. Yousef, do you have a response to what he's been saying? Yeah. Shh, you'll ask him that afterwards, right? Yeah, keep your questions. Remember your questions. Write them down.
Look, people who are in the territory, they have ownership to their property. Nobody's coming to take their property from them. My father is a Hamas leader. Israel never came and said, oh, you Hamas, give me your house. Our neighbors, our entire town, people own their property. They've been there before I was born. They're still in their households. Nobody's forcing them out of their houses. Prior to the Palestinian Intifada in 1987, we were able to move freely, travel outside the country, go to Tel Aviv, go to the beach, go everywhere. We did not have even one checkpoint. Things only changed when Yasser Arafat pushed the indoctrination of Palestine on the kids, shutting down the schools, exactly what you are doing here on campus, shutting down the school and building encampment to disturb the student life for the sake of Palestine, a foreign entity that you don't understand, that you've never been there, that you think that it ever existed, that you think that there is occupation, that you think you know better than the judge, and you say that there is a genocide, that the verdict is going to come sometime in the future, God knows when. So you created this narrative in your head based on YouTube and TikTok videos. Then you claim that you educated yourself from legitimate resources. But I tell you, we as the people, the Arabs who live in that land, nobody ever took my house, even though we are Hamas. And nobody has the right to take your property. You have your name to it, then it's yours. And there are millions of people like this. So all your claims are baseless. And I invite you to visit the place to begin with, so you can have a direct experience.
I'm going to move on.
I can respond to that.
Or you can respond to everything. You are Einstein. Such an arrogant generation.
I don't think that helps. I think
it does.
I don't think it does.
I think just an idiot. This is what it is.
He's not an idiot. He's obviously a very intelligent guy.
So you can call me TikTok watcher. You can call me Gen Z. You can call me arrogant. What you can't do is respond to the facts.
What facts?
Well,
what facts?
To be fair, we need facts, and that's what I was kind of asking you about. So,
well,
the fact that I was born there and you weren't. The fact that you have a second-hand knowledge.
No. The fact that
you think saving human life is treason.
No, not the fact of where either of us were born. I don't think the reality would change if I was born in Zimbabwe. The reality would change. The reality would change if I was born in a different country. Oh, that's nonsense. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No. What the facts that you can't respond to are the deliberate targeting of hospitals that do not have military centers in them, like Karim al-Sharif, like Tel al-Satan, like the evacuation routes that were bombed by Israel. And this is not according to me. This is according to you.
All right. Listen,
Mr.
Doyle. Let me just take control here for a second. You made your point. I don't know if you had something to say just quickly in response to that, because we gotta move on.
Okay, targeting hospitals. It's evident. And I told them that I have a first-hand experience, but it looks like no matter what I say, he's going to say, you are paid. You're on a payroll. You're advocating on behalf of the Zionists. And he will continue to be in his denial for eternity. This is a phenomenon of useful idiots that they're advocating on behalf of a dangerous organization. They're bringing chaos, intifada, to the United States of America because the government is not taking care of this business. Naturally, the Department of Homeland Security would persecute anyone who's given a material support to a terrorist organization. This is the natural environment. But now it looks like it grows so wild that people like him has the audacity to talk to someone who risked his life on a regular basis to save human lives. This is what we did. I lost my entire family, the wealth of Hamas. Did you know that I managed Hamas money? Do you know how much money is that? You would sell your mother for that kind of money. Hamas money was under my authority. If I wanted the money, I would have stayed there. You tell me about a paycheck coming from Israel. You're totally mistaken, son. At the beginning, I respected you and I gave you the opportunity because we have to build a dialogue, but it looks like you only have accusations and you're contradicting yourself. And when an eyewitness come to you, you don't have even facts and you're very disrespectful to some of the hostages in the audience.